So everyone, hello, I'm Giuseppe Gaiazzo from
Hello.
Sounds, and I'm here with
Hello.
two good friends of mine who are Fidel Durante and Martin Merlos. Is the right pronunciation? Okay.
Sí, muy bien.
It's okay.
Okay. Great. So this will be a little weird, half English, half Spanish, and half ugly English spoke by an Italian who are very well known for not knowing how to properly speak English. So sorry, properly English speaking guys. So yeah, probably some of you know who these two gentlemen are part of a collective of musicians and instrument makers called. Some of the people that was actually watching this video might know something about you because maybe they know the library Maleventum 2 that we did together, where you created and recording all the instruments that are actually part of the library. So I would like to have, it was important for me to have this chat to let people know more about your work. I'm pretty sure that there is a lot of people that is interested about the kind of thing that that you guys do. And you are currently based in Buenos Aires, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think that a very good start could be to just introduce yourself. I mean, what is Nomada Ceramica, which is the kind of activity that you do, how it's born. So feel free to speak.
Tu turno, amigo.
Bueno, ¿qué cuento y vos vas traduciendo de a poquito?
Dale, anda dándome tiempo.
Bien.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Fidel will live translate Martin. So okay, so no worries if you cannot speak.
If I can. I'll try.
Bueno, primero que nada, gracias por la invitación y espero que les sirva, les guste esta conversación entre amigues. Nada, Nómada Cerámica hace instrumentos de cerámica con una reminiscencia a las piezas arqueológicas de la América prehispánica. Particularmente nos centramos en lo que tiene que ver con las sonoridades antiguas, pero creando nuestros propios nuevos instrumentos. Fran, ¿querés que no sea tan largo?
Sí, está bien.
Vamos haciendo un ping-pong.
Okay, first of all, thanks, he said. I think you understand. Nomada Ceramica is a project that is making ceramic instruments, clay instruments from the pre-Hispanic America, based in the archaeological researching, but with like a modern point of view, or with our own hand. Creo que hasta ahí llegaste. Continúa, amigo.
Sí. En inglés es mucho más compacto.
Sí, no, igual yo lo compacto porque, bueno.
Yeah.
Anda a poquito que así me voy acordando todo.
Dale.
Yeah. If you are asking why I say yes when they speak Spanish, is because for some reason Italian can understand Spanish speaker when they speak, even if we cannot speak Spanish. Don't ask me why, but it's true. I understand what they say, but I cannot express myself in Spanish. So yeah, I mean I remember that when I had this rough idea that I wanted to do a library based on flutes. But I didn't want the kind of flute sound that is most peculiar in the West, you know, that kind of slender sound in the orchestral ensemble. That's something that, you know, I was not particularly interested. But I wanted the kind of more primal and raw kind of sound. Okay, so I was surfing YouTube, searching for inspiration, and just randomly I stumbled in one of the videos where there is Martin that uses the Vasilla Silbadora, which is this very peculiar instrument. I don't think that there are other instruments like that in other cultures in the world. I think that it's something that only the civilization of pre-Hispanic America actually had, as far as I know. And this is basically the reason why I said, okay, I found the guys that have to record the sounds for this work. And I have a lot of videos, both on my channel as on Nomada Ceramica channel, where they showcase these particular instruments. I will ask a little bit more about that later. And so I got in touch with them and we sent emails back and forth. and we did this library together. So all of the sounds that you hear in Maleventum 2 has been recorded by them. Also by Giulietta, who is the third member of Nomada Ceramica, who's not here. Hi, Giulietta, if you're watching. Of course. And well, but the thing that really impresses me about your work is not just the quality of the music and the sound that is, I mean, even when the sounds are very simple, they are very evocative. I mean, they exactly put you there. I mean, I immediately envision of scenario, that kind of setting when I listen to that kind of sound. But besides the musical aspect, I think that the really interesting thing is the fact that you actually manufacture the instrument from scratch. And as I was telling before to Fidel, before we actually started doing this call, is that, you know, here in Italy we have a lot of let's say traditional instruments as well. Okay, they are mostly played in small communities, but as far as I know, I don't know anyone who actually creates the instrument. I mean, that the creative process is so wide and embraces not just the music, but also some craftsmanship. For example, if one picks the zampogna, which is this kind of bagpipe that we have here in southern Italy, it's because they learn from their father, and their father learned from their father, and it's something that is passed from generation to generation. But except for a few people has, I think, a little bit loss of memory where the instruments come from. I mean, all the history that is behind that. And still in your work, I mean, there is also the creation of the instruments from scratch. And so it's a quite unusual thing from my perspective. How did you guys started? I mean, was it something that you got interested into from the music, or were you more interested in craftsmanship? I mean, how did you start to get interested in researching these instruments and creating them?
El comienzo con los instrumentos fue más que nada desde la cerámica. Y luego, cuando empecé a ver que existían estos instrumentos tan maravillosos, fue como un amor a primera vista, y hacer sonar el barro fue como algo que me explotó la cabeza.
Okay.
Fran?
So, how old were
there are some expressions that are very difficult to translate to English because they are very Argentinian. I try to do it.
Voy a hablar un poco más español.
I've literally read where that Argentinians are basically Italians who speak Spanish. So
yes.
Don't worry about that. So
I don't know if we are Italians, but we speak like in an Italian way. So the thing you asked, he says he came to the instruments from the ceramics. So that's what how he get to know these instruments, to get close to them, and then the idea of making clay sound, making the mud, make it to sound, and he says it's like a very wonderful idea, and like his head exploded, or I don't know how you say it in English, but like when you get really amazed or something, like it's
sure.
a very strange idea to the clay sounding in that way.
Yeah,
because it's not only a little whistle, they are very magic actually.
Yeah. So it was love at first sight. Yeah, because I mean,
that's what he said, love at first sight.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
you have to help me because I forget half of the things he says, so it's good that you understand Spanish also.
Yeah, but I try to make shorter statements because I tend to be very verbose and to talk too much, so that's my fault. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, that's interesting because most of, for example, here in Italy, but I guess that pretty much the same in overall Europe, it's the same for all of us musicians. I mean, when we are young, we fall in love with that instrument or with that band, and we don't really know what we really want to do, but we know that we want to put our hands on that instrument. And so it always starts this way. But in this case, it's interesting that someone comes to sound, okay, to the whole universe of sound from a apparently completely different realm, which is the realm of clay, of craftsmanship. And this is This is, of course, very interesting. But another question that I have, just out of my curiosity, how's the process? I mean, how do you decide which instrument you want to do, how to do it? I mean, do you do some kind of historic research? For example, oh, in this book, they talk about this instrument that was made by the Aztec, for example, so I want to do something like that. Or do you create instruments that are inspired to those, but are different? I mean, I'm interested in this creative process of research, okay, behind actually putting the work in. I mean, what kind of research do you do before actually starting to create the instruments?
Fran, ¿me traducís un poco que no sé si entendí del todo la pregunta?
La pregunta es cómo decidís qué instrumento haces. Creo que básicamente lo que está preguntando es si haces réplicas, por ejemplo, y si hay,
Claro.
una investigación previa del instrumento que vas a hacer. Pero cómo decidís los instrumentos que haces, básicamente.
Claro. Sí, previamente bueno, hace mucho que vengo viendo arqueología y diferentes organologías de instrumentos. Te estoy
Creo que
matando.
se traduce igual, no te preocupes.
Se traduce igual. Y viendo estas diferentes organologías de instrumentos ancestrales, originales, yo recreo esa información con esta inspiración y también teniendo en cuenta que las sonoridades, los timbres, son muy similares ya por la propia materialidad. Y también observando las investigaciones de arqueomusicología o etnomusicología, que son investigaciones, papers, donde se ven las diferentes afinaciones que estos pueblos tenían en sus instrumentos, que es muy diferente a la escala natural occidental, si le podríamos llamar así, ¿no? Frank, ¿querés?
Yeah, I think that I what Martin said. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Sí. ¿Se entendió?
Ok. Hablaste un montón.
Hablé un montón, tengo que dejar un poco.
Actually, I can answer this also, so because I know the Nomada Ceramicas work a lot. So Nomada is not making like replicas. Nomada is not making like the same instrument that they see in this picture. So they actually have a research about this. And Martin is saying that he's been researching a lot about anthropology, archaeology, sorry, and ethnomusicology, I don't know how you say it, but something like that. And we have some researches, papers, and other articles about how they sounded. The scales, mostly the scales. We were talking before this chat about this the way of making them sound. Maybe we don't know a lot about that, but yes, we know about the tuning of the instruments.
Okay.
Radiografías también.
¿Cómo?
Radiografías de los instrumentos originales también.
Yes, we have. There are many RX pictures. So we know how they are made inside of them.
Yeah.
And Nomada Ceramica is taking all this knowledge and making their own instruments.
But
the sound characteristics of the instruments, the identity of the instruments are the same because we are using the same material, actually. So the same mud. And actually Nomada is taking the material from Buenos Aires, from this place. They are not importing clay from other countries, so we know that the sound might be pretty similar to what they were in the past.
Yeah, also because we were discussing that Of course, there are no hints or some sort of written documents about how the precolumbian music could sound like. We have absolutely no idea about that. So to a certain extent, what you guys are doing is to, yes, taking the tradition, your own tradition, your cultural background, but, and this is something that leads to my next question, to make it live today. And that's one of the things that I'm really interested, that was particularly impressed by your work, that is not just academic research, okay? It's not just, okay, this is the original instrument and my aim is just to make it, you know, to just build it exactly like it was, just for the sake, okay, of bringing an archaeological find back in the present. The interesting thing is the fact that you use this instrument in a modern context, in a modern musical context, and that's something that I really resonate with, because in Italy we have a more kind of traditional approach to culture. For us, culture in many cases putting something in a glass box in a museum. Okay, oh, that's something of bazillions of years ago. We are just supposed to watch it and to get a culture about it, and not use it in the modern world, not giving it a new life in the modern world. And I think that that's the only way to create some new creative and artistic, how could I say, bridges from our culture to the rest of the world, if you recontextualize the instrument. And one thing that I asked to Fidel, so that's actually my question, is your work something that has a following in the contemporary Argentinian popular music? Because if I listen to Italian music right now, I mean, the one that you listen on the TV, you know, it sounds like, you know, it's a little bit derivative of American music. You can listen hip hop that sounds exactly how modern hip hop sounds. So we do not have any, there is a total detachment from the of the actual music, of the current music, from the past. Is it the same also in Argentina, or there is you know, a movement of people that follows what you guys are doing?
¿Entendiste esa? ¿Querés responder?
Sí, es como cómo se está utilizando.
O sea, si hay un grupo de gente que sigue, digamos, la música que hacemos, digamos, la música que se hace con estos instrumentos. O sea,
Sí,
yo quiero
poca.
saber tu opinión también. Ahí va. Puedo responder yo igual, por eso.
Sí, sí. No, creo que hay mucha gente interesada y cada vez más, más que nada en escuchar, o sea que nosotros también eso, estamos en un proceso también, en un proceso creativo y en un proceso que lleva muchos años. Como que no es la composición con estos instrumentos también es algo complejo y que es algo en lo que estamos trabajando con Francisco. Con Fidel estamos trabajando también en esto de empezar a ordenar la composición desde la construcción también de los instrumentos. Desde qué estética sonora queremos transmitir. Entonces crear instrumentos ya con una finalidad de ejecución, de tocar. Entonces como que estamos en ese proceso y creo que la devolución, cuando nos presentamos, cuando ejecutamos estos instrumentos en vivo, la respuesta es increíble. O sea, del otro lado hay una devolución porque se siente en el cuerpo.
Yeah.
Y tal vez, como no hemos grabado hace un disco, no tenemos un long play, un single, nada, como que todavía, o sea, lo que experimentamos con la respuesta del público es en vivo. Y es increíble siempre, porque lo que te cuentan es que viajan, que
Yeah.
te lleva a otro tiempo. Eso.
Yeah.
Te maté.
No, voy pensando en todo porque,
Ahí
bueno,
va.
no son cosas que no sepa.
Claro.
Okay, first of all, like to put us in context, the Nomada Ceramica project is a ceramic project, and now we have this musical project that it's very raw. It's as we say here, it's only born in the beginnings, and what he's saying that yes, we are in this music, in this composition process that we are trying to put together all these things. Yeah. Like the way of composition that we have in our head, in our culture, that is very European, and these new technologies, the computer, and it's a research. It's a research that is being. Then there are some examples, some people that is doing music with these instruments, but maybe we have a different. We are trying to make a different point of view of the music that we try to make. We try to make something more contemporary, but we don't want it to be punchy music, like electronic music, like electronic commercial music. There is also another example that, for example, the orchestra of traditional instruments of the Utrecht University. I don't know if you heard it. I recommend it. Wow. This postdegree that I'm doing has to be with this orchestra, and it's also another point of view, more like of orchestra, of academic orchestra, or more like European kind of orchestra, but making music with all these instruments. Our way is begin, and it's very complex to find this dialogue between the new music and these traditional instruments and the computer music and the way of playing. But our best experience, because Martin was saying we don't have a long play or a single. We haven't recorded something that we really like yet to put on the internet, for example, but we have some live experiences with people that we have a lot of people listening to us, and everyone is going like amazed always, like very maybe you say interpelled. I don't know how you say it in English, but it's always a magic moment when we play live these instruments, and we mostly improvise, but they've been very good experiences, very magic experiences.
There is a huge response from the crowd. I mean, wherever you play, there is always people that feels involved. That's probably because you are tapping into something that belongs to their to their cultural identity. Well, to a certain extent, it happens the same here. I mean, if you see at folk festival, you see people that goes crazy dancing all the popular dances, etc. But if we look at the actual discography, I mean, people that makes records and that has fans, famous people, very pretty good known musicians and bands, you don't see anything of what I think is the true nature of the culture of popular Italy in that. Most of that is a derivative of something that comes, from elsewhere. And it is quite disheartening, actually, because I think that when you research the instrument that mostly identifies a culture, no matter how small it is, it's exactly there that lies the true identity. Okay, and what I found most in the music that is recorded and on a popular scale here in Italy, there is a total detachment from this popular tradition. Yeah, but another interesting thing is the fact that you use electronics and digital processing. And do you think that it's a way to give a new life to the instruments? I mean, to create sounds you take instruments that are inspired to something that happened thousands of years ago, but you process them with reverb, with delays, with whatever. Do you think that this gives a new life to these instruments? I mean, gives a new context, I mean, in the modern world?
I think both. I think it gives a new context, but it also gives a real context. Like when you use a reverb in this instrument, you are playing it in a place that maybe it was played, like in a cave, for example. Those soundscapes from America, like that's what we are trying to make, and giving them a modern context and like this contemporary point of view, but the instruments already sounds amazing. So it's you make them sound even better with the computers, but it's both things. And I have to make this distinction between, because you talk about folk music here, it's I want to make this difference between traditional music, what I think is traditional music, and folk music, because our folk music, our folklore, is not played with these instruments. It's played with European and South American instruments, Latin American instruments. But in our part of Argentina, for example, we are playing folklore with a guitar and an African legüero and an African kick drum, un bombo legüero. I mean, it's not, both of them are Argentinians because it's a mixture of cultures. Of mostly the pre-Hispanic culture and the Aborigine culture and the African culture and the European culture. But these instruments were from before they came here. So I prefer to call it
algo que se
traditional
cortó
music
también, ¿no?
not folk music. ¿Cómo?
Que hay algo que se cortó en comparación a lo que venís hablando con los instrumentos prehispánicos, ¿no? Como que hay como un lapso de tiempo que se cortó, que hasta inclusive hay algunos instrumentos que en las culturas prehispánicas mismos ya se habían dejado de hacer. Se ha comprobado en varios estudios que algunos instrumentos ya se habían dejado de construir antes de la colonización, por ejemplo.
Yeah, that's interesting, because basically I guess that when you introduce these instruments to an Argentinian audience, it's as new for them as it was for me, because they were not familiar with the culture of the pre-Hispanic period. So basically what you're doing has also an historic value, I think, because you are showing to people of your country where they come from. It's not just from Europe. I mean, there is also a huge chunk of history of people that made things, of civilizations, and that were sort of overridden by the coming of the Europeans. And so that's very interesting, the fact that people actually lose memory of so many things along the centuries. And in this regard, that's something that really resonates with me, because I'm trying to do sort of something similar with my sound design process, because, for example, for Maleventum 1, which is the library previous to the one that we did together, I recorded these small wind instruments. Well, not necessarily small, but they are traditional instruments of some regions of southern Italy, even where I come from, which are mostly used for, so-called folk stuff, okay? And I try to record them and to process them in a way that they sounded modern, okay? That they were accessible and understandable also for someone who does not even know where these regions are. And I think that today is very necessary to do something like this, because otherwise these small traditions, not necessarily small, I mean these ancient traditions, if there is not a new recontextualization in the modern music, they risk to die. If there is not someone that actually puts them in the world of today and opens a bridge that can be accessible to anyone, even people that does not belong at all to that culture, you make it available for them and you make it live today. So I think that in this regard, what you do is really necessary, and does even more than academia to a certain extent, because academia is books, is papers, But what really people resonates with, what really people feels in their guts and their heart is music. And that's, something that I think is really valuable. But by the way, I'm looking at Martin's wall, and I see a Vasilla Silvador right there on the shelf, right?
Acá atrás.
Yeah.
Sí.
Yeah. Can you?
Yes.
It's possible to show it because it's such an amazing instrument, and I think that people needs to know. Can you take it and just to show how it works?
Sí, le tengo que poner agua, pero sí.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Mira, tengo una que estoy construyendo, que podría ser una primicia porque no la publiqué, que está cruda. ¿Le querés explicar?
Yeah, sure.
Fran? Bueno.
He's going to show. He has to fill them with water, but he's going to show one that he's making right now, and it's raw. It hasn't been in the oven yet.
Yeah.
So he's going to show this.
What
he said while he's doing this. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Bueno, pero esta, o sea, está cruda.
It's a very big one. Uy, chabón, está muy bueno.
Y ahí adentro, ven que hay un personaje.
There's a piece of art, not just a musical instrument.
Sí, bueno, y ahora, o sea, esta particularmente, o sea, tiene un sonido muy grave en comparación a las que grabamos con Maleventum.
Yeah.
It has a very low sound.
Yeah. But is there water right now, or is just you blowing?
No, ahora solo soplo. Porque
Okay.
como está cruda, si yo le pongo agua se desarma.
Okay.
You cannot put water on it because it's raw.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But that's the way he's trying them when he's making them. Before it goes to the oven, he has to know how they sound.
Pero ahí voy a poner agua una, así les muestro.
So you do it by whistling on it.
Yeah, because this one, I mean, it works more or less like a whistle, but the one that I saw when I discovered Nomada Ceramica, maybe it was exactly this one that works with water, with basically pouring water from one of those 4 vessels in another one. The water pressurizes the air against the whistle that gives this sort of eerie, howling kind of sound. And not to make it sound like a commercial pitch, but there are plenty of samples of this one in Maleventum too, and this one is just one of a kind. I mean, it's an incredible instrument. It's also great for sound design because if you try to pitch it down, to reverb it, and to do all sorts of stuff, it always sounds great. Is this the first instruments that you ever built as Nomada Ceramica?
He didn't hear. Martin.
What, do you know what
he's filling some with water now to show you how they sound with water, because the last one it's made to sound with water also, but
yeah, but
you have to make it of ceramics before. When it's of clay, you cannot fill it with water because you destroy it.
A ver, ¿qué estaban hablando? Contame.
No, te preguntó si es la primera que hiciste, me parece. Si este instrumento, si este es de los primeros que hiciste.
¿La vasija silbadora? No, empecé con las ocarinas.
Okay.
Silbatos, que es la base, silbate, o sea, whistling.
Yeah.
You start with whistles and then you make these globular flutes before you can make these whistling battles, because they are a little bit more complex.
Yeah, I bet on that. I mean,
yes.
Bueno, y esta que está acá, esta es una particularidad porque tiene 4 vasijas.
Okay.
Y el agua va acá adentro, entra aquí. Water inside.
He's saying that this one is not a common one because it has 4 bottles.
4 vessels, yeah.
Sí, sí.
Wow.
Y se escucha más el agua.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can hear more the water sound.
Yeah, it's incredible the evocative power of this instrument because it immediately puts you there, okay? Because there is these whistles that remind sort of creatures that are somewhere in the bushes, but there is also this interesting water texture. So, I mean, it's incredible how it just with the whistle, it puts you there, and that's exactly the kind of thing that I had in my mind when I wanted to do Maleventum 2. Actually, maybe I never told you that. Initially, I didn't want to call it Maleventum 2. I wanted to call it Montezuma. But yeah, because it's remind me, but then I don't know. That's not a good title. Let's go with Maleventum 2 because it was TT Maleventum 1. Yeah. Wow. We are 45 minutes of talk. Yeah. Is there something that you want to add? I don't know, something about. I know that now we are all stuck with the pandemic, so I guess you are not making live shows right now. Unfortunately. Oh, let's keep.
Yep.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah. Is this the one that you have recorded for Maleventum 2, right?
Esta está grabada.
Yes, this one is Maleventum too.
Yeah.
¿Querés, Fran, contarle sobre la cámara acústica? ¿Podrás contarle? O sea, el corero.
¿Vos querés que cuente un poco cómo está hecha?
Yeah.
Okay. Is ay, que estoy trabadísimo. As you said, it's a simple whistle. You start with a simple whistle, but they have a very complex construction system, and some interesting thing about this the whistle bustle is that as you hear, you can hear pitch bending, like you go to one tone to another, and that's made by this acoustic chamber that some of them have.
Yeah.
So, and you also have like a reverb in the instrument, like you can hear it.
Right.
He just wanted me to tell you this, but it's, as you said, it's the water that makes it sound like the water is pushing the wind inside and making this whistle sound. And then the acoustic chamber, like in this case, it's around the whistle, and it makes this pitch bending.
Oh, okay.
And this reverb sound that they have, like
it's quite.
Sí, es como,
Yeah.
como que.
It's quite difficult to explain it more in English.
Yeah, but I mean, it's quite mesmerizing that so ancient civilities had this so delicate and intricate technology. I mean,
Sí, eso es.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yes. Most of people has this idea of like the ancient that they didn't have this science, but they made these amazing things. Like, I don't know if you know about the Chichen Itza pyramid. You make this in front of. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. When you make this in front of the stairs of the Chichen Itza pyramid, you can hear the Quetzal. That is their ¿cómo se dice?
El canto.
Yes, the sound of the singing of the bird, of the like the god bird of the ¿qué cultura es? De los
Maya.
the Maya, of the Maya
Maya,
culture. They had a really deep knowledge about the acoustics and many physics things. Like they could make many things that we still cannot make in the present.
Wow.
So it's really amazing to hear all these things and to know that they knew how to do it. It's not only like they tried and they could do it because of the experience only.
Yeah, they had actual engineering knowledge to know that. Yeah, but I mean, to a certain extent, this resonates with what we were talking about before that Martin joined us. Is the fact that sometimes limitations are actually the what creates something amazing, because at that time there were no civilization that had the scientific and technological knowledge and means that we have today, but they came up with some brilliant solutions. And this thing that you are telling me reports to my mind some theaters in the ancient Greek world, okay, where they didn't have microphones, obviously they didn't have speakers, and so they had to build the theater in a way that the voice of the actor was audible also to people that wasn't far from the main stage. And I remember when I visited Greece a few years ago, there was this theater, I can't remember the name, that is very, very large with a very huge diameter, but either the combination of the materials and the geometry, if you even just drop a coin in the center of the stage, you can hear it even if you are at 20 meters distance, like it was dropping just in front of you. And that I think that this what confers also that evocative, that mystery about these civilities, because we say, how on earth did they figure out this? But they did, and it's incredible. But I was telling you before, I guess that now with the current COVID situation, you are quite limited for either for the concert, but I also see from your Instagram page that you do a lot of workshops. You teach people, how to make instruments. I guess that this is limited now because of COVID. But do you have some plans in the future even to come to Europe? Because I want to hear those instruments by myself, with my ears, not just recordings.
Sí, por favor, queremos ir.
¿Entendiste toda la...? O sea, la pregunta es si hay algunos planes para el futuro, así a corto plazo, para Nomada Cerámica, porque él ve que están haciendo talleres, y qué sé yo. Le podemos contar que vamos a hacer uno en casa,
Sí.
por ejemplo.
Sí. Sí, que estamos dando talleres online. Bueno, debido al contexto de pandemia mundial, hemos decidido como compartir, acompañando, ¿no?, desde la virtualidad para, evitar encontrarnos, aunque lo estamos necesitando.
Yeah.
Hacer también ahora ahí en lo de Fran, que tiene un espacio, un campo, o sea, vamos a encontrarnos presencial, o sea, con cupos reducidos, pero bueno, acá ya hay bastante vacunación, como nada, cuidándonos, nos vamos a poder encontrar nuevamente alrededor del fuego.
Yeah.
Pero íbamos a viajar, pero al final decidimos no viajar a Europa, así que nos estamos guardando porque nada, habíamos sacado el pasaje todo y pandemia mundial, COVID, así que no pudimos ir, pero tenemos muchas ganas de ir y llevar nuestros instrumentos en las valijas para también compartir desde ese lugar, ¿no?, que les comentábamos, desde el vivo, desde estar ahí, ¿no? Como que es conectarse.
Yeah, let's hope that all of this pandemic will be over soon. Because, sorry, could you translate? Because as I said,
sí. I don't know if I can, but I'll try because it said a lot of things. Yes, we are giving, or they are giving workshops, mostly virtually, but there are some what do you say, presential, or I don't know how you say it, but and we are planning to make one at my house also in September, I think, because it's the lockdown is we think it's going to end soon. And he said also that they really want to travel to Europe, that they were going to travel to Europe this year, but they have to cancel it because of the situation, of the COVID situation. But it's really important for Nomada Ceramica to make these workshops and to meet people and to make fire and be around the fire, because it's like a very important part of the work of the ceramics works of the.
Sure. Yeah, actually, I didn't mention.
Eso es lo que trataste de decir.
Sí, muy bien.
They said a lot of things more, but
about the fire, the fact that that's something that Martin mentions also in another video about the making of Maleventum too, that is really interesting. But the thing is that you also build the furnace. I mean, you build everything. You build the instruments, you build the oven, you build everything. I mean, that's quite impressive. So guys, do you want to give to people that is watching this video some contacts about where people can find you, can know more about your work and listen to what you do? Where they found you? Yeah.
Los contactos de Nómada, amigo, pasamos.
Nomada Ceramica en Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah, please do.
Everything is Nomada Ceramica. You just find it in YouTube or Facebook or Instagram the same.
Yeah,
as Nomada Ceramica.
I will post the links because I always look what they do, and even if you're not particularly interested into ceramics, etc., but you are interested into sound, I think that sound design is a big word. It's not just the people that make sound for libraries or sound for movies. In my opinion, is everyone that experiments with sound in some way. Okay, so I think that you definitely belong legitimately to this world. And so I guess that if there is people out there that is curious about how people approaches to sound, and even according to the cultural background, Nomada Ceramica pages are a must. They're also very enjoyable because I can see, before the pandemic, I remember all the photos and the videos of the gathering with other people of the lesson. I could smell a very good vibe over there, even if I was not there. Okay, guys, thanks a lot, first of all, for the chat. Fortunately, we managed to understand each other despite none of us speaking good English, me included.
Thanks to you, Giuseppe.
You're very welcome. I'm really happy for this chat, and I hope to catch up soon, okay? So thanks a lot. So I'll stop the recording, and we can keep chatting about other things if you want. Now that I close. Okay. Bye.
Okay. See ya.
Bye. Muchas gracias.